5, 4, 3, 2.
Whoa! They're going to steal our dinosaur! Welcome to the Sunday Movie Marathon. I'm Max.
I'm Chris.
I'm Darcy.
And this is episode 56. And that was a great quote from that movie we watched the other day. The one about the dinosaurs. The
Going missing or something.
One of our dinosaurs is missing. That was what it was called.
Yeah.
Great film.
No, it wasn't really.
Yeah, we decided, because we weren't doing a marathon that week because we were doing the full, we decided to meet up anyway, have a few drinks and watch this movie that Max got given from work. And it was funny for the first 5-10 minutes because of how obscenely racist it was. The villains are clearly American actors with their eyes taped up, so they're Chinese or something, and they speak with that really, really obviously stereotypical and fake accent. And that stuff was really funny, but then it just it was just that. There was nothing more.
I feel like we should clarify here that it wasn't funny. It was just
funny.
No, I mean, the racism was pretty funny up to a point, you know.
Yeah.
And then
It's funny
at a certain
because of how,
point, it just stopped being
uncool it
funny,
was.
and it was just racist.
Yeah.
It was racist and boring, which is
Although there
automatically
was
worse.
that one point where Chris went to the toilet and they were karate chopping stone bits of the wall.
I came back. Came back to see that.
They got out of prison by karate chopping the bricks of the.
I actually
the prison
can't believe
walls.
that was a film that actually happened.
I can't believe my boss gave it to me.
Yeah.
was like,
I'm so
"Here,
confused.
Take this, and watch it. It's very racist." I was like, okay.
Did they ever Did you ever did you go, oh yeah, I've watched this film? Did they ever say anything about it? Oh, I didn't think you'd watch it actually.
No, I don't know, really. I just said, yeah, it wasn't good, and it was very racist.
Yeah, it was
They're like, yeah.
ridiculous.
I
It was
told
very
you.
boring as well. Really boring.
It was boring, yeah.
Mm.
Bunch of old ladies stealing a dinosaur's bones.
It was meant to
Whatever.
be an hour and a half, and it just felt like 4 years.
It was a while. We could have watched a good movie in the time. We had planned to watch another good movie, but then we were just too tired after that.
Yeah, we were going to watch One Cut the Dead, but we were just so exhausted.
It just sucked the life out of everything, that film, to be honest.
Yeah, that's our mini review of One of Our Dinosaurs is Missing. Don't watch it. It's like a Disney movie as well, but I don't think they have it on Disney Plus because I guess it's too racist.
Yeah, it's probably too far.
I
And people
mean,
really liked that movie when it came out.
Yeah, it's like how they've got that film, Song of the South, which they've never officially released because it's meant to be really racist because it's about slaves on a farm or something.
It's like Disney's Birth of a Nation.
Yeah, kind of.
oh no.
Wonderful. Well, I'm not going to watch that ever.
Neither me.
I don't feel the need to watch any of those kinds of movies. You kind of know what they're going to be going into them. So, Chris and I saw a movie today, as we're speaking, and we went, and it was midday. We went to our local cinema to see Spencer, directed by Pablo Larraín. I hope that's how I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. And it was a movie. It's about. Well, Chris, you liked it the most. Why don't you explain what the movie's about?
Yeah. So the film is set over 3 days, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Boxing Day. It's all about Princess Diana, who has gone to this huge mansion where all the royals stay, spend Christmas together. And it's kind of just all about her starting to become really, really sick of the tradition, starting to suffer from bulimia, and her mental health basically plummeting, and her wanting to rebel against this life that she's grown incredibly tiresome of. I think that's the basic sum up of the plot.
Pretty much, yeah. And it was awesome.
Yeah,
This is a fantastic movie. I didn't really know what to expect going. I mean, I kind of had my expectations subverted a bit because I kind of thought it was just going to be a good biopic, but it turned into something a little bit different. I was kind of worried that it would perhaps glorify the royal family a bit, but it doesn't at all. It doesn't at all glorify the royal family.
If anything,
because it's
kind of does the opposite.
Yeah, it's just like a character piece about Diana, who, I mean, being honest, I didn't know all that much about before seeing the movie.
No.
I don't know, like, loads of reference point. I didn't like grow up knowing about Princess Diana. That was a bit before my time. But this, I suppose, it only takes place over 3 days, and I feel like you get a lot from just who she was as a person, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I think they do a really good job of kind of showing this like portrait of her basically at her lowest point and just what makes her the person she is. And I think a lot of that comes down to just how like really, really great I think the writing is, and also how incredible Kristen Stewart is in the movie.
Yeah, this is her best performance, I feel.
Yeah, by far. Like, it's really crazy. We watched like Twilight less than a month ago. Like all the Twilight movies now, like moving on to this. It's like basically a completely different actress. Like, she completely disappears into this role. There was multiple times where I just like would just remember, oh yeah, that's like the girl from Twilight, because she just disappears.
Yeah, she nails the accent.
Yeah,
not a lot of American actors can do. I refer to like Matt Damon in The Last Duel, whose accent is shocking because he can't do it at all. But she never once falters. I completely didn't even think, yeah, that's Kristen Stewart on the screen. I was like, yeah, this is just, she's melted into the role. Really made it something very powerful to watch.
Yeah, I think it's probably my favourite performance I've seen from anyone this year.
Oh, yeah, I might agree, honestly. Yeah, kind of. I was like, just kind of in awe of it. I mean, how long is it? Like 2 hours-ish?
Yeah, I think it's like a couple minutes under 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, I could have just watched it the whole day. I really was not sick of it at all, ever. And that really does say something. It's a testament to, the acting. It's a testament to all the great writing. It was written by Stephen Knight. It's really good writing. He wrote for Taboo and Peaky Blinders as well. I think he's a really good writer. And also, I've not really seen much of Pablo Larraín's work before, but I don't really have much to compare it to, but I thought the direction was bloody spot on.
Yeah, definitely. Especially like on the visual side, I think it looks really, really, really stylish and interesting. I think they do a fantastic job of really nailing the period it's like set, because it actually, for most of the movie, it looks like something that was filmed in like the early 90s. It doesn't feel like something that was filmed in like 2021.
Yeah. I think I took a bit of issue with, like, I guess our screening was like a bit out of focus. It was quite annoying. So I had to go and get someone to fix it, and I think they did. But it just kind of felt a little bit too blurred, and maybe that's to do with just how it was filmed and how it was shot. Because it's, what did you say, 16mm film?
Yeah, I think some of it's 32, but I think the majority was 16.
And you can tell. I mean, obviously they're going for that period of time. It would be weird if it was shot on digital. If you're going to capture this time period, I think that's the way to do it. But at the same time, I think my experience was slightly dampened by the fact that, I mean, just shots that seemed completely out of focus, and it's not really the fault of the movie. It's the fault of like the experience that we had while we were there, which is a shame because I wanted to be more involved with it, but I just I couldn't really get over that. I was just constantly like sat there like, what's happening? Why is this happening? So I had to get up and ask someone.
Do you think you'd enjoy it more if you could see it, if it wasn't like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I kind of was just sat there being quite annoyed. Even though like the movie itself, I was like, yeah, this is actually really brilliant. But this is annoying me. This one part is annoying me. And unfortunately, it's sadly not anything to do with the movie at all. It's just the cinema we were at, which is a shame.
Yeah, I think I was able to look past that because I was just like so encapsulated in the story and in these characters.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, I mean, it looked fantastic anyway. It's really great color palette, great costumes. They really honed in on these costumes that they're making Diana wear. It's like, oh, here's a costume for breakfast, here's a costume for lunch and dinner, and here's the evening dress, and here's all this and that. It's very, you feel like sometimes in biopics you don't really draw much attention to the costumes, but they really, really good work, and especially because these are not really, I mean, it's beautiful costume design, but at the same time, you're not supposed to feel like it's good for her, because she doesn't really want to wear these things, and like she's kind of being paraded around. When I got like a very lonely feeling from the movie overall, which is quite a cold feeling, and they say there's a big emphasis on the fact that they won't turn up the heating in this Sandringham Estate, won't turn up the heating. I was like, wow, everyone's always cold. They just give them coats instead of turning up the heating. But I think that also contributes to the environment and just like the experience. It's quite a cold experience for Diana herself. And no one is particularly kind to her. She's quite isolated. I mean, she's got like one friend and her sons, but that's about it.
Yeah, I felt like a lot of the movie was just kind of about how like the royals, and even like just the idea of us having a royal family, it's like such a tradition. Like it's not something that's modern. It's very, very like old feeling. And I feel like a lot of what it felt like they were trying to do with the movie was like present Diana as almost like the complete antithesis of that. Like someone who is very much of today and like of the people, and has basically been sucked into this world of like tradition and all of this stuff. And I think they do a really good job of like displaying that throughout the movie.
Yeah. She was loved. She was adored by the people. And I agree. It's quite trying to present this idea of like antiquated models in like our society. I don't feel like we need a monarchy anymore.
No,
it's quite an antiquated, outdated view. It doesn't really quite fit into society as we're doing it now, as we're moving further towards like like sci-fi. It's like you get all these different advances in technology. It's like we're moving forward, and suddenly, but at the same time, to coexist with something that is stuck in things you'd quite understandably relate to the medieval times, with kings and queens and knights and all the lords and ladies. It is quite strange that these things still exist to me. So I do think it is trying to push that kind of idea forward as well, which I quite like, because I was quite worried that it was kind of going to be like a jerk off session for the monarchy.
Yeah,
but
I was also worried about that. Yeah, I think even like all the characters in the film seem like, from their dialogue, seem very aware of the situation that they're in. Like there's a really great scene where like the Queen goes out to walk her corgis, and Di like chases after her and is like, I really love the dress you were wearing. And she's like, you have a lot of pictures taken of you. The most important picture you'll have taken is the one that they put on the £10 note, because it makes you realise it's currency, that's all you are, or something like that. And that was like really great dialogue that was just kind of summed up just the royals, I think.
Yeah, it really stuck out to me as well. It was really good. There was also a line where Diana says she's like going to interrupt the men's pheasant shooting. And she has a great line before she goes there, and she says, "Will they kill me, do you think?" I was like,
yeah.
Oh. Because obviously there's a lot of skepticism and ideas about perhaps that's what they did. They kind of like maybe they orchestrated her death. So I think that was probably that also like struck a chord with me on like a different level than the one that it was trying to communicate in the movie, I think. But also I do think it was trying to hint at that a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely was, I think. Especially like in the later scenes where it's like like the Queen and Charles are all like looking at her in like just such a like disappointed and disapproving manner as she's basically revolting completely against them.
Mm-hmm. It was quite strange, I thought, when it went into... I mean, I appreciated it, that it kind of goes down this eerie direction in terms of its tone, and it kind of feels like a psychological thriller at times.
Yeah.
It's playing with like these weird, like strained orchestral music sounds, and just like the horror that she's feeling, and that she doesn't feel at home, or she feels very lonely, and it does play on that a lot. And I guess you're with her throughout it all, so it does play on like the psychological element, and it comes across as quite creepy at times.
Yeah, because like, there's a lot of bits where she just like almost, you can tell she's almost fearing for her life, because she like is reading a book all about Anne Boleyn and starts like seeing like hallucinations and dreams of Anne Boleyn being there, and starts like seeing herself and seeing these parallels between her life and Anne Boleyn's. And I thought all of that stuff was really great, and some of it was really, really creepy as well.
Mm-hmm. I love that as like a comparison, I think. And it was also very interesting to see this like huge portrait, this painting of King Henry VIII, like almost in the next scene when she sees Anne Boleyn. I was like, wow, why do they have that there? He was a horrible dude. Why do they have that in this room?
Yeah, I guess they just love anyone that was a king or a queen because they're part of history, I guess.
Yeah. I understand we need to learn about these people, but I wouldn't erect, statues to them, and I wouldn't present huge paintings of them, because they were quite horrible people.
Yeah.
There was, I'm going to go into spoilers. Just a warning, because there's quite a horrendous scene in this that I quite liken to something that was almost like Hanukkah-esque in a way.
This like the trigger warning scene.
Yeah. Where I almost jumped, because the curtains have been sewn together, and she's got these wire cutters because she wants to go out of the grounds and go to her old house on the Sandringham estate where she grew up. So she's got these wire clippers, and because the curtains have been sewn up, because apparently there are like people on the grounds. There's always this allusion to like people on the grounds that they're trying to take photos of you, Diana. She cuts open the curtains again, and she just kind of stares out the window, and it's kind of reminded me of like the piano teacher in a way. She just gets the wire clippers and like clips her own arm with them. It was horrible.
Yeah, it's really fucked up.
But I really loved it. I was like, it was so uncomfortable, and I was like shocked, almost gasped. But that might have been like one of my favorite parts of the movie, to be honest.
Yeah, there was another like really disturbing bit. There was like it was just a dream, but she like it's like the first time she's gone for a meal with them, and like everyone's like just eating this soup, and she's just like staring at it, unable to touch it, and she just rips off like this pearl necklace that's on her neck and starts like eating the pearls with the soup, and then just runs to the bathroom and throws up. And that's a really fucked up bit.
That was horrible. Yeah. Oh man, this movie's so good. Oh, I love it so much. Do you know there's like a candlelight scene where Diana and Harry and William are sat around like candles, and they're trying to play like this game. Apparently all of that, it was quite a long scene, but it was all improv.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It felt very, very natural.
You got like the kid who plays William kind of trying to make up a story. He's like stuttering on words a lot, but it did feel very natural. I appreciated that a lot.
Yeah, that was a really, really sweet scene. Almost brought me to tears.
Yeah, these are like her kids are like her only solace in this place, and there's also like this big insistence on like nothing you say is like private in this place, and like literally everyone can hear whatever you're saying at any given moment. And there's an idea that perhaps like they can also hear her thoughts when she thinks them, like not even her thoughts are private. It was quite a sad thing to see, because I this is not like a life that you'd want, really, where you don't really have privacy, And it's very lavish and very, glamorous, but at the same time, what's it all worth?
Yeah, it almost felt like a statement just like against the idea of like being a celebrity or just being in the public eye generally. Like how you basically just don't have a private life at that point. Everything is public.
Yeah, that great scene where like she's like swarmed by the paparazzi as well. That was very overwhelming.
Yeah. Something I also wanted to bring up was the score. It's all done by Johnny Greenwood, who I already am a huge fan of because obviously in Radiohead, but like all his scores I think he's done before have been fantastic, and this one is like especially so. Like there's a really great mix of like orchestral stuff, electronic stuff, and like really weird jazz music, and I think it all comes together to create this very like at times eerie and atmospheric, but at times like, almost like classy sort of feel that I think just really fits the tone of the movie.
Yeah, I agree. Also feel like a little bit discordant at times, where it was trying to go for more like an eerie type of feeling, where like you didn't really understand what was going on, or like reality mixed with the dream world in a way.
Yeah, there's like that great sequence where she like breaks into her old family house and's like walking through like this like completely desolate, dark like room, and like the music suddenly gets like super, super loud and like discordant, and it's horrible. It's like just really, really overwhelming.
Yeah, there were points where I thought the music is super loud.
Yeah,
but I kind of enjoyed that because it is going for more of an intimidating feeling, something that's trying to take you over entirely.
Yeah, to be fair, I think that screening was actually ridiculously loud for some reason.
Yeah, it was. It's weird, because who goes to see movies on a Monday at 12:25? There's a load of old people. Maybe I guess they can't hear.
That would actually make a lot of sense.
Yeah. I'm good to go on to ratings.
Yeah.
If you want.
Yeah, I don't think I have much else to add. I would actually like to do like a fuller discussion at some point, maybe when it's out on Blu-ray and we can actually write notes and stuff.
Yeah, me too. That'd be great.
Yeah, really, really powerful movie. One of my favourites of the year. Just a really terrific biopic that was not what I was expecting it to be in the slightest. I was kind of just going in because I thought it looked kind of pretty, and I wanted to see if like Kristen Stewart was a lot better in this than she was in Twilight, but I wasn't really expecting it to be this like really dark psychological drama that's at times really upsetting and disturbing. And yeah, I have really, really loved this thing. I think my gut's telling me it's a perfect 10. Maybe it'll go down on a second viewing, but I think that's what I'm going to stick to for now.
Yeah, Twilight is also a world away from this, and it was a very long time ago. She's obviously improved as an actor, and I think if it's like the level of performance we can expect from her, she's really going to soar, I think, if not already. And I think probably if she doesn't take home like a Best Actress Oscar, come on.
Yeah, I was thinking earlier, I don't think there's anyone else who's going to take it.
No, definitely not. I was kind of thinking, like, when we was watching the trailers in the cinema, I was like, this is going to win a bunch of Oscars. And at the time I was saying it's kind of being like kind of cynical, because this is like the kind of movie that the Oscars would eat up, but it's quite a different movie than I thought it was going to be. But I would love if it won a bunch of Oscars, honestly. Costume design, fuck it. Cinematography, why not? It's really good. It's a really good movie.
Yeah, if anything, I can see it getting actress, music, and director.
Yeah.
There are the three. I think it's probably quite likely to win.
Yeah, wouldn't be upset by any of that. This was fantastic. Honestly, I loved it. And I would like to see it again. I could watch it, I said after we saw it, like I wouldn't even have minded if that was like 5 hours long. I could have just lived in it forever.
No.
It's really great. And I would love to see it again, hopefully very soon. And hopefully the projector isn't fucked up. I'll give it an 8 out of 10 for now. I really liked it.
Yeah. Although I know it's not Darcy's kind of movie, I actually do think she'd really enjoy it.
I was thinking about going to see it, but then you guys spoke a lot about the film, and now I feel like I don't need to go and see it.
Watch it anyway. There's a lot we didn't talk about. I feel like we only actually scratched like the top of the iceberg of that film.
Maybe. I was going to see if it was on this. Oh, no, wait. No, we can't. I have to wait. I forgot we were going back to Luton, didn't we? Ugh, cringe.
Now we got some more movies to talk about. We did Sci-Fi's science fiction movies. So we picked a science fiction movie to watch. We got A Scanner Darkly. We got Dead Man's Letters, and we got Her. And we're going to start off with Chris's recommendation. Take it away.
So my movie is A Scanner Darkly, which is an animated movie directed by Richard Linklater, based off a novel written by Philip K. Dick. The movie is about Keanu Reeves' character, Bob Arctor, who plays an undercover cop who is set in like the not too distant future, apparently, where he's undercover trying to take down this drug ring, which he's kind of like the head of at the same time. But while doing so, he gets himself addicted to this dangerous new drug that he's involved with, and he starts to lose his identity and go insane because of it. I feel like we all had vastly different opinions on this movie.
Yeah, I would agree, actually. I think in terms of Chris basically said, oh, I think it might be a divisive, interesting conversation, and you know what? Fair fucking play, mate.
Yeah.
Go on, Max.
All right, I'll start then. This movie sucked. I fucking hated this movie. This was awful. I was so bored the whole time. I mean, it's an animated movie, but I didn't like the animation. I hated the style of animation, and that brought it down a lot.
It is
for
vile.
me.
I agree.
You know?
I agree with Max. It was horrible. It was very
Everything
jarring.
is moving constantly. Things like hair and pillows, things that shouldn't be moving at all, are just moving. And I understand, it's going for like a drug trip sort of thing, but I felt it to be a bit of a sensory overload in that sense.
It was a bit distracting, wasn't it?
Just stay still, please, some things. And I really did not like the animation at all. It looked like a video game, It was like might as well be playing like The Walking Dead or something. That's what it felt like to me.
I really like the animation, like for the exact reasons you don't like it.
Oh, I think it's vile. Like, when you left the room briefly, I was telling Max that I'm glad that like rotoscoping hasn't like fully caught on as like a phenomenon, if that makes sense. Like, not every film is doing it because it's so ugly and horrible.
Yeah. It's not. I don't really like rotoscoping, but I like it in this film because of, I think, what it's trying to go for. I find it very, very jarring, and it is like a sensory overload, but that's what I like about it. It feels kind of real but incredibly artificial at the same time, and I really enjoy that about it.
See, I see what you're getting at, because I was thinking about it yesterday as I was because I like to go to the toilet after the film sometimes, just to sort of like debate in my own head about like whether I liked it or not. And I was just sitting there and I was like
and I was kind of, is Darcy time after the movie.
It's Darcy's mulling brain time. What I thought was, I kind of understood why they kind of went for that sort of animation style, because especially with like that suit, I don't even remember what it was called, but
the scrambling suit.
It kind of, I felt like it kind of made sense in context of how weird it would look if that was actually a real suit, just like constantly like changing. I kind of got it, like in terms of their, I got the logistical reasons behind it, but I just think it's ugly as fuck, and I did not like it. It's just horrible. It's like watching like a cutscene of like a, when you're in a game and they do like the little weird like animations in between. Like so fucking
I think
terrible.
The Walking Dead is like the perfect example, because it is like, it does look like a hand-drawn animation. Like all the characters have got like outlines and they're all 3D at the same time.
Like, it was really weird as well, because there were points where I understand that isn't the concept that you draw on top of the video. Isn't that how it works?
Yeah, so like the film was completely filmed like a normal movie, and then they just drew over it. I felt like there were parts that I could almost tell that, I don't know whether this was just like me nitpicking at it, but I felt like there were parts of it that weren't completely drawn over properly,
and I felt like I could see things underneath. I mean, that might have just been me looking at it at a certain angle and like nitpicking at it.
I don't think they used any of the original video in there.
It just looked like it. I think it might have just been like it just looked eerie. It was just weird. I didn't like it.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean. That's just like the reason I do like it. I feel like this is going to be like a very much a Max says, "Oh, I hated this about it," and I'll be like, "Yeah, I agree, but that's why I liked it."
See, I feel like you used to a kind of it's weird because I feel like you kind of like the same things, but then when it comes to like certain nitpicky things, either one of you hates it and one of you likes it, and then there's just me like,
sometimes there's just a
yeah,
movie where we're like, this is shit or this is great, and there's like no real reason to it. It's like just because of personal preference, but then like these things do happen a lot. I think our tastes align quite well though, most of the time. But this, I don't know, fucking hated this shit. Like I like Linklater's Before trilogy, but I think that's the only ones I really like from him. I saw Slacker. I didn't really like Slacker either. I think he loves his copious dialogue, but I just don't think it really works here. I have no idea what any of these characters are on about. They're basically mumbling and whispering to each other the entire time. If we didn't have subtitles on, I wouldn't be able to understand a single word they were saying.
Yeah, that's actually my biggest issue with the movie. I do think it's a bit too wordy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, Richard Linklater is someone who's known for like really extensive dialogue. And I do think
when it's about something that actually doesn't really exist in real life, it's quite strange. It's quite jarring. It's like, well, what am I supposed to relate to here?
Yeah, like I feel like
it's just drugs, I guess, but like that's kind of it.
I feel like this almost had that same problem that the card counter had, where like I don't know about you guys, but every interaction kind of just felt like really like off-putting. I don't know, like it was one of those things where it was like they were chatting, but like the conversation like didn't really make any sense to me, or it just felt like, especially with like I understand that they're meant to be like massive druggies, so like they're meant to be like quite incoherent, but there were parts where I was like, what the fuck is even going on anymore? Like I didn't understand.
Yeah, I think in a lot of cases that's kind of intentional, and like in those cases it's kind of like you either like that about it or you really don't.
I don't even like hate it as such, but I did find it quite distracting or like really unintentionally hilarious, especially like when poor whatever Keanu Reeves' character was, when he's all like brain frazzled from the fucking drugs, and he's just like, yeah, Thanksgiving, yeah, Christmas, and I'm like, oh my god, I hate
funny,
it. I was just like,
it's
what?
sad, but it's funny.
It's weird because
I
know
got the
that
wide open mountains out here, man. I like
like I feel like I'm meant to
the
feel...
air is really fresh, really clear. I like air.
Yes, fresh.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, like I feel like, you know, when you're supposed to feel for you're supposed to like characters and things, but I didn't really like anyone in this film, to be honest. I just kind of was
really
like,
feel like they were characters.
No,
because they're all you know, it's an animated movie, but they're all animated they're modeled after the people who are playing them. So it's like, you know, Robert Downey Jr. plays a guy who looks like Robert Downey Jr. Keanu Reeves plays a guy who looks like Keanu Reeves, and the rest, you know, Woody Harrelson and all the rest of those guys. That's also what kind of took me out of the movie. Where it's like, okay, it's just these dudes. Okay.
I do think all the actors are really good in the movie. I think Robert Downey Jr. really fits the role he plays like super, super well. He's like this character who's he's very like self-involved. He's very much in his own head. He's like constantly rambling on about nothing. He's like, he seems to like consider himself to be Jesus almost. And I feel like that's kind of what he does really well. It kind of reminds me in some ways of Tony Stark, but not quite as cocky as that.
Here's the archetype that he plays.
Yeah. It is still like the archetype that he always plays, but I do think it's slightly different than some of the other ones.
Sure, I mean, he's on drugs.
What, because he's more of a loser in this film, I would say. He's like a cocky loser.
And because of like how his like speech patterns are, and how he's like constantly like acting like very anxious and like talking very fast, because obviously he's on drugs.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was well excited to see that he was in this film. but then I was just like, okay, it's him. I don't know.
But
I felt
perhaps that's because it's familiar and you know what he's going to be doing.
Do you know what? I think that's actually quite sad, but it's true. I noticed that when I see certain actors come up in films, I always expect a certain role from them, and a lot of the time it is exactly that.
Like Tom Hanks.
It is exactly like Tom Hanks. I love that guy, but it's true. It's exactly the same thing every single time, and I feel like Robert Downey Jr. is one of those people.
Yeah, I think Keanu Reeves kind of is as well.
Yeah. He's like, I have to wear the scramble suit because I look like a dope fiend and you'd not look kindly on me if you saw me. But he just looks like Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. I guess he looks like a dope fiend.
It's so
He's
weird.
all right. He looks nice.
Yeah. I really like the performance from Rory Cochrane. He plays Charles Freck, who's like their friend who, like, the opening shots of the
He the
films,
bug
like
man.
him like scratching bugs on him. He's like this very like scared, anxious guy who like is completely fucked up by the drugs, and you can't really understand anything he's saying because he's like constantly like just screaming and shouting because he's like just so fucked. I think he's really good in the movie.
I hated that beginning scene. I hated it so much, and I know it was made for me to hate it, but I just felt so itchy. I just wanted to itch, and I'm always itchy anyway, so it was just really unpleasant for me.
Ew.
I know.
I like the part where he's like about to kill himself, and the radio's saying Freck was gonna kill himself, and here's how he was gonna do it. And then a guy with 1,000 eyes comes up from the floor or whatever, and he starts reading him all his sins. That was pretty fun.
That's my favourite bit in the film. It's so cool.
He like can't even kill himself. He doesn't do it well enough, so he's there hallucinating forever.
Yeah. It's because he doesn't have enough downers or something.
I love that for him. Poor guy. I don't really know what to say about this film, to be honest. It's one of those films where, like, I kind of liked it, but I don't have a lot to say because I don't know, it was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just people like getting high on drugs. I don't know. I didn't really care much for it. Especially like not really as a sci-fi movie, because I don't know. It's just really about drugs, and I guess that's not like really science fiction-y in and of itself, but that is like the main part of the movie.
Yeah, it's mostly just like the technology.
Yeah, I was
going
to say,
like,
is
the
it
scramble suit idea, the idea of like the death drug. I think like when the original book was written, this was like very, very futuristic because obviously it was set decades after. It kind of like almost like completely predicted the war on drugs in America, which I feel like the film version kind of heavily seems to be inspired by.
I mean, I could get behind that. I kind of didn't understand the whole sci-fi part of it, but then I suppose it's just one of those things that it came out in 2007. I guess it sort of makes sense.
Yeah, I quite like the idea of the scramble suit.
Same,
but I don't like the look of it in this movie.
I really like it. I think it looks really weird.
I think that's the only time that the rotoscope thing made sense to me, because I was like, imagine watching that in any other like medium other than animation. It would look so fucking weird. I think it looks sick. I actually quite liked it. It was quite entertaining.
It has to be animated, or it has to be in a Marvel movie, which is basically animation. Like the scene where what is it? Keanu Reeves has that girl around, and she's like, "Oh, you live with two guys, so you're gay?" And he says, "I try not to be. That's why I called you here."
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about that bit where she's like, "Don't touch me, it's all the coke. Did you know I did lots of coke? By the way, I do a lot of coke."
That was funny.
Yeah,
I mean, it makes sense later when you find out that she's also an undercover cop who's kind of trying to make him get addicted.
Yeah, that was fucked up. What the hell?
Yeah, big reveal, eh?
Yeah,
she's a
really
snake.
I was like, okay, it's a.
Do you know what the sad part is? When they did the reveal, I just didn't really give a shit.
When they did the reveal, I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Kind of saw that coming.
That was it. I was like, okay, that makes sense, but I didn't care. I don't know. I just didn't give a shit.
Yeah, because like the reveal on the movie is that Keanu Reeves, he's this undercover cop who's gotten addicted, and it turns out that it was kind of like forced on him to get addicted by like their hires up, one of whom is Winona Ryder, who is an undercover cop, basically the head of this drug operation. And they kind of just wanted to get him so fucked up that he goes into rehab and takes down this like rehab center where they're actually growing the drugs, because they kind of need someone on the inside, and they're hoping that eventually his brain will fix itself and he'll be able to take it down.
Well, that's quite a sad way of thinking. Like, I don't know, because like, what happens if it goes wrong? You just fucked him up, and then that's that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
They don't
sad, but yeah, I feel like that's kind of what a lot of police people can be like sometimes. They don't really care if people gets hurt as long as the case is solved.
What? So it's sort of. So it's supposed to be like the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what the whole point of that
That is a very philosophical way of looking at things.
I like the end note about like how substance abusers should be helped and not locked up like criminals. I quite like that as like an ending cap off. It quite kind of tied the movie together.
For me, I feel like that's kind of what the film as a whole is going for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it's showing all these people who are like being slowly destroyed by drugs and aren't getting the help they need, because like if they try and do anything about the fact they're on drugs, they're just going to end up in prison. Like, they show like the anxiousness of the characters and how they're like constantly afraid that they're going to get pulled over by the cops and get killed by them and stuff. And that's kind of what I like the most about the movie. That's what draws me to it.
Nice.
Is there anything anyone wants to add?
Should we go on to ratings?
Yeah, good to go to ratings.
Sure.
Short discussion, but there's not loads to say. I found that.
I love that. I found out.
Yeah, I picked it because I was like, oh, that's going to be a film with like loads to talk about. And then I watched it again and I was like, actually, maybe not.
Yeah, there's not a lot to do. I mean, there is. I mean, if you wanted to get into like the nitty gritty of it, there's probably quite a lot to talk about. But I don't think we enjoyed it enough to actually get into all that. Personally speaking.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of good Radiohead songs in there. Forgot to bring that up.
Oh yeah, that was at the end. I did a little fist bump,
Yeah,
like
'cause
woo.
Black Swan by Tom York's playing. There's like multiple bits where like random like B-side Radiohead songs from their Amnesiac period like playing for some reason.
See, that's your actual reason for liking this movie.
Yeah,
And they all
because
turn
there's
into
a couple-
cockroaches and bugs.
Yeah.
Gross. Anyway, go ahead.
What are we going to rate it out of?
Bugs.
Cockroaches and bugs?
Yeah,
They were
sure.
neon green. Did they have a name?
Bug.
Bug. Rate out of bugs.
Green
Okay.
bugs.
Yeah, I like this movie a lot. Like reflecting over it since we last saw it, I actually like it less than I remember liking it. First time around, I really, really loved it, and this time around, I do still really like it, but I don't think it's quite as good as I remember it being. So yeah, I think I'm going to give it like a 8 cockroaches and bugs out of 10, maybe. It could go down on another viewing, but I'm
Where
not
did
sure.
cockroaches come from?
I
We
said cockroaches and bugs.
Yeah, but we just said bugs.
No, cockroaches and bugs.
Okay, fine. Cockroaches and bums.
Not for me. It's not
Oh.
very good, I don't think. And I was very bored, actually. So it felt like it was just really wasting my time. And I didn't really appreciate really anything that was going for, aside from, I guess, like a few positives. But I don't know. I just wanted it to be over. 4 cockroaches and bugs out of 10. It's not the worst thing ever. But I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. I'm not gonna lie, it did actually feel a lot longer than it was meant to be. I swear it was only supposed to be like just over an hour and a half, and it felt way longer.
Yeah, it's like an hour 40 or so.
Yeah, what the hell? It just felt like it was going on forever for some reason. It's really weird as well because I can normally tell when Max is really hating a film, but I feel like he was just silently seething in this one.
Yeah, I could tell.
Oh, I wasn't really. Maybe I just wasn't
The
paying
fact
enough
he was
attention.
completely silent and I kept looking over at him and he did not look like he was having a good time.
See,
I knew about 20 minutes in he wasn't enjoying it.
Because it's like a lot of jokes in the movie that just I don't really care for, or that don't work for me.
Me and Darcy were laughing a few times and there was just Max completely in silence.
maybe that should have been my indication, but maybe I was just focusing too much on what was trying to go on. Yeah, to be honest, I was debating whether I was like hovering between the 3 and the 3.5 out of 5 mark. So I think I'm actually just going to put it down to 6 bugs out of 10.
Yeah, okay. Don't nod and put your thumb up at me, Darcy. People listening can't see that. That's that
Well,
then.
they can
All right.
imagine it now.
Next up is my movie. I picked a movie. It's Russian. It's from 1986, and it's directed by a guy called Konstantin Lopukhansky. Lopushansky. Konstantin Lopushansky. And it's called Dead Man's Letters, and it's about this dude, and it's after a nuclear explosion, and he's a professor, and he shelters in an underground basement with a bunch of others, and he writes kind of mental letters to his missing or dead son. We don't know. He's probably missing or probably dead. Let's face it. And they pass the time together and trade stories and just wait to die. Really. I recommended this movie because I thought, wow, this looks interesting. It's got like quite a high rating, but not by many people. So we watched it, and you know what? It was okay. It was pretty good, I thought. What did everybody else think?
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah.
Don't look at me, man. Don't look at me. I didn't like it at all.
No.
No. I mean, I think for me personally, I just couldn't get into it. Like I really liked what it was going for, because obviously at the end it kind of tells you like about anti nuclear weapons and stuff like that. I liked what it was going for, but I was bored, to be honest.
There's a lot I did like about it, especially presentation wise. I really love how like really foreboding and atmospheric the music is. Like most of it's like very low based, like droning sounds, and it's really eerie and creepy. And I do like the colouring as well. Reminds me a lot of Stalker, because it's kind of a lot of it is just like the first like hour and a bit of Stalker, where it's like basically all like yellow and brown looking, and it definitely really fits this like grimy, completely like dusty like look that they're going for. But
Yeah.
apart from that, there wasn't loads to it I found that interesting. It does remind me a lot of Tarkovsky and how very slow it is, and how like very atmospheric it is. But the difference between like a Tarkovsky movie is that even when it's like very, very slow, I'm still getting a lot out of it. I'm still like enjoying what's going on and getting a lot out of the characters and out of the messages and themes that are going on. Whereas in this, for me, it just felt like there was just a lot of nothing.
See, I'm laughing because your film was shorter, but it felt was it? No, your Max's film was shorter. Your film just felt so long. I didn't even like this film, and your film felt longer.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I felt like there was a bit more to delve into. I got a bit more out of it. I do agree. I do like the look of the movie. It's got like this nice orange hue to it. It looks like truly apocalyptic. They go to,
Yeah,
I think
it
like the
does.
most I was getting out of it was when they went onto like the surface, because they're all underground, down and when they go up to the surface, and it's all like desolate, apocalyptic. It's ruined. Everything looks just horrendous. And I was like, how do they do this? How do they film this? Where are they? Is it like
Yeah.
a set that they built, or is it an actual location? Because this looks amazing.
those bits were incredible. Like there's like a bit where there's like a completely like like a crashed, overturned bus, which is like completely destroyed. There's like corpses all over the place. It looks really fucked up, but it's like really, really impressive how they managed to do it.
Yeah, that's one of the only parts that I remember was that one scene in particular where they're literally panning over and there's just like dead bodies everywhere. It was so fucking creepy.
It was. It carries quite a creepy air to the movie overall, I feel. But perhaps mostly when they're above ground. Because when they were below ground, I don't know, I wasn't really getting much out of the characters themselves.
No.
I don't really care much for the characters. I don't think anybody has a name. So I guess, I don't know, it's just like an allegory for like the people as a collective. But I didn't really get much from these guys. I didn't really find much to latch onto when it came to the characters, which is a shame.
Yeah, they I know it was co-written by Boris Strugatsky, who wrote the original book Roadside Picnic, which Stalker was based on. And I think pretty much all of his stories, the characters don't actually have a name. They're all named by their profession or something.
Yeah, there's only 2 character names in the whole film. Professor and Humanist.
Yeah,
Apparently,
or at least what's credited on Letterboxd. There's probably
of
more.
Course.
That's a way to like explore ideas. Then, like you don't give your characters names because you want to like explore like the themes of the movie a bit more. I feel that's why you don't get names in like a Tarkovsky movie. That's why you don't get names in like a Darren Aronofsky movie, because it's all about like the idea. But the idea in this, I feel, there's this kind of this celebration of humanity in a way. It was sort of getting a bit from, but it's nothing that I've not seen in any other movie before. And also, like you said before, the sort of anti-nuclear weapons type stuff. I think there was like an insistence on not making this set in Soviet Russia, so there's a lot of stuff in like the backgrounds that couldn't possibly be from Soviet Russia at all. There's like stuff in like English language and primarily English language, I think, so they were trying to distance themselves from that a lot, which I got a lot out of. But at the same time, you know, the parts that I really wasn't caring much for would like, you know, I appreciate its celebration of humanity in the way that it's presenting these ideas that we've done a lot of good for the world, but we've also done a lot of bad for the world, and we've accomplished a lot, but it's also, in the end, what's it going to matter if we're all underground and hiding from, you know, toxic chemicals in hazmat suits? What's it all going to matter in the end? And that's a bit bleak, I suppose. There's like a line where this guy sitting at a table, he says, "Howl of desolate thinking creatures in the cold and impassive space desert." I was like, wow, yeah. Well, you kind of got from that like that we're like this amazing species who have done so much, but when we're confronted with the oblivion, essentially, we're reduced to these small, insignificant creatures that nothing ever meant anything that we did. Didn't amount to anything in the grand scheme of things, because nobody knows why we're here on Earth. Nobody knows why we're just doomed to this kind of cycle that we're in, of like fucking the Earth up, or like even why we exist in the first place. Nobody has these grander answers, but I do feel like there was some kind of attempt at an analysation of that within this movie.
Yeah, of course, but for me it just didn't really click. Like you said, all the underground stuff I just don't click with at all. I don't find any of the characters interesting at all. I don't really care about what's going on. Although it's a very, very bleak and melancholic movie, I didn't really like leave the film like being like super sad about like any of the characters dying or anything like that, because there was just no one really for me to latch on to. I felt like more just sad and depressed by just like the general tone and feel of the whole movie, and just the idea of just this completely bleak future.
Yeah, I don't think they really delved any character stories there, to be honest, but I don't think that was really the whole point.
No. There's that character who just decides that she wants to be like topless from now on for some reason.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Don't you remember that?
You know, the woman who walks around topless.
Woman that just walks around with her tits out throughout the whole movie.
Oh man, normally I pay attention to that kind of stuff.
Oh, come on, Darcy.
I was paying too much
Honestly.
attention to the fact that there was a dog wearing a like a little gas mask as well.
There was a dog
Yeah.
wearing a gas mask.
Yeah.
I don't even remember that.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't remember
It was
that at all.
one of the second things that I picked up on.
There was a part where the guy gets up from the table and he goes into his like room or whatever. Goes into like this hole that he's dug in the ground and he just shoots himself. Like fucking hell. That was bleak. But I also didn't care about the character. It was a shame.
No.
I think
There's
the
a lot
parts
of-
that hit me the most were I think there's a scene where I guess it's before the apocalypse or it's as it's happening. And the main character, he's in this hospital or something, and he's trying to find his son. And he goes into like this ward where all the children are like just howling in pain and agony. And you see like just like flesh being torn from them. That was pretty horrific. I found.
Yeah.
That was
That's
pretty upsetting.
That's the best bit of the film, in my opinion. That was really, really haunting and disturbing.
He just runs through the ward and just like screams. It was that was horrendous.
That was fucking horrible. I just audibly went ugh
Yeah.
because I didn't have any words to describe how horrible I felt.
Yeah. I also really loved like just the look of the characters when they're wearing like the makeshift hazmat suits, like having that gas mask on and walking around. I thought that was really, really creepy looking as well.
Mm-hmm. They're like going around the surface, and there's a pretty interesting part where I think they're in and amongst like just a pile of books, searching like this mountain of books and collecting books. That was pretty interesting, I found.
Yeah.
It's a lot
I
of
like it
interesting
just like-
ideas.
yeah.
It's a lot of interesting ideas I think could make a pretty interesting or like really investing movie if it was handled a different way. But I'm not really emotionally invested in the movie as a whole because I want characters to latch onto and because I want maybe a story that tells its own plot differently or like in a more cohesive manner, I suppose. Because
Yeah.
I mean, at the end, you get the main character who stays behind with the kids and celebrates Christmas with them. That was nice. That was sweet. But I didn't care that much, about like the other people who had left them. He was just like, no, I'm just going to stay here. And I was like, why? And then he was like, oh, I'm with the kids. We're celebrating Christmas together. No, it's nice enough, but I'm not getting emotionally invested in it, I suppose. It's a lot to do with the imagery for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think the film is super, super original. Like I can think of other films that have done a similar sort of thing. And I wouldn't have an issue with that if there was like enough really keeping me invested and interested. But apart from like a few bits, there isn't loads in here that I really enjoy. And it is a shame because I was like really interested to watch this movie. It's a movie I actually really wanted to watch because it sounded good. I want to get into more Soviet cinema. But yeah, I just don't think this is a great movie.
Mhm.
It's just not for me. I just had no interest in it. But to be honest, films like that don't really interest me anyway for the most part because I find them way too bleak.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that case, I think we'll go on to ratings.
Sure. What are we going to rate this one out of?
Oh God.
We're doing out of light bulbs because there are a bunch of light bulbs in this movie that I think they play with a lot, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a cool shot. Yeah, like I just said, I just don't think there's loads keeping this movie that interesting. I do think there's a lot of really great sequences, and I do appreciate what the director is trying to go for. I just don't think it's executed all that well. I would actually, I'd recommend a movie called When the Wind Blows, which is an animated movie from the guy who, based on a graphic novel from the guy who wrote The Snowman. And that's
Oh, yeah.
it's about this like old couple who think that basically a nuclear bomb's gone off, so they stay inside their house until they like slowly run out of food and start to die. It turns out it's literally just them being super anxious because they're just like an old British couple who are kind of stupid. That movie I feel like kind of tackles this kind of theme of slowly dying as the world around you just like has decayed kind of better.
Mhm. Yeah, I've heard
Also
of that.
very bleak movie.
Also
Yeah,
came out the
bloody
same year
hell.
as this.
Really.
Oh.
That's an
yeah.
interesting thought, actually.
Yeah, that's a far better movie. But this still has its merits. I don't think it's completely garbage. I don't think it's a bad movie. I do think it's a good movie, just not great. Gonna give it 6 light bulbs out of 10.
Yeah, I'll also give it 6 light bulbs out of 10. I think a lot of promise in its themes and its ideas. There's a lot of good ideas, but ultimately, execution-wise and story-wise and character-wise, not really doing it for me.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know if Max was finished or not, so I was patiently just saying.
You could notice by the fact that I stopped talking, and then a long
I was
silence proceeded.
You
there.
know, I was just waiting a couple more seconds. Yeah, this just wasn't for me. I had I like the idea of the film because when I was reading it up, I was like, oh, that actually could be interesting. But then I watched it and I was like, oh no. But based on that, I'm gonna give it 4 light bulbs out of 10.
Awesome.
And now, I picked a film that I knew that all of us had seen already and all of us quite like. So I picked Her by Spike Jonze. Came out in 2013. It's about a man called Theodore. He's going through a divorce, and he basically starts having a relationship with these operating systems that have just been introduced, and the kind of story around him and his relationships, I suppose.
Yeah. I was annoyed when you recommended this, Darcy, because I'd seen it like the other week. I was like, this is quite an emotionally heavy movie. I don't know if I want to watch this again for like the second time in as many weeks.
Honestly, if I had known, I wouldn't have picked it.
I was going to pick it, and then Darcy said she wanted to, so I changed.
Christ.
Either way, someone would have picked it.
Either way, it would have been picked, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie's fucking amazing. It is great. Really good movie. One of the better sci-fi movies to come out in recent years, I think, in the past decade. It really gets to like portraying the Earth in a way that's very easy to imagine it would happen in the very near future, which I think is very interesting, especially because it came out in 2013. It was, what was it, 12 years ago now. It's got a lot of great ideas going for it, and it does execute them super well. And you know the emotions there. It's a very thrilling movie in a way. It's very joyous. It was also very sad and upsetting at times, which is why I was hesitant to watch it again so soon, because I knew it was going to be one of those. Just kind of grips you by the balls and doesn't let go.
Yeah, I feel like it takes you on a roller coaster, doesn't it? Like it takes you everywhere.
This is one of the best movies ever made, in my opinion. I think it's a really, really beautiful movie. It hits me on an incredibly personal level every time I watch it. I find it upsettingly relatable every single time. Yeah, and Max was saying that like a lot of the stuff you can 100% like see being in the near future. Remember when I watched it when it came out, and I was like, oh, that could never happen. But like every single time I watch it, I feel like we're closer to it being a reality.
Yeah, I feel like it could happen. Like when I first saw it, I went, I'm actually surprised that no one's doing this already.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it 3 times in the last year and a half. I think I watched it early 2020, and I was still like, I guess it could happen, but it still seems a little bit far-fetched. But in the last year, there's been such a huge like evolution in like artificial intelligence and stuff. Now I'm at the point where I think this could happen in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, the e-girls are out there, people. Wake up.
They're waiting for you.
What do you think, Darcy?
What do I think of this film?
Yeah.
I love this film. It's one of those films, right, where I don't really get emotional at films that much. Well, not visibly anyway, or like not to the point where I actually like surface an emotion. But there's something about this film that's just so, there's something about like interpersonal like relationships that are kind of like wholesome but also kind of sad, but also like really hard to describe, that kind of like hit me on a level to the point where it just makes me, I don't know, it makes me feel like pure human. I can't explain it. Like there are a lot of times where things I necessarily think of and things that I do, I don't feel necessarily like all that connected to people, if that makes sense. But then I watch a film like this and I'm like, oh yes, I am a person with actual human emotion and I do feel like these people, and it's kind of, it's sad, but it's real. And I just feel like, I don't know, it sounds really like stupid as well, but sometimes when I'm watching a film like this, I like to think of people in my own life that I could like relate this back to, and how I would feel if that was me as them, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think very, very few films really capture that feeling of like loneliness and emptiness after like someone leaves your life, whether it's someone passes away or a relationship ends. And I think that's one of the reasons it gets to me so deeply, because it does take me back to how I felt going out of like bad breakups and stuff. Actually reminds me a lot of Eternal Sunshine, written by Charlie Kaufman, who Spike Jonze used to work with a lot, because I feel like that also kind of tackles very similar themes of just that feeling after a relationship ends and kind of wanting to pretend it doesn't exist, but eventually having to confront it and like accepting the like beautiful parts of relationships with people even after they end.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those films where it feels almost like an acceptance of like the human experience. It's like, we all go through shit, but we all go through good stuff, but we have to know and enjoy these people while they're here, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's why you can't really take people seriously when they badmouth their exes. In a way, it's like, well, why were you with them then if you think they were so horrible?
Yeah, of
There's
course. Like,
something there.
What?
there's going to be bad moments there, but like it's those like really great formative memories that kind of change who you are as a person.
I feel like yeah,
this and Eternal Sunshine really did a great job of like portraying someone who's just kind of slowly accepting just how important that is.
Yeah, I feel like that it sounds kind of, it kind of sucks, like, you know, when things happen and you kind of on your own, if that makes sense. But like, I don't know, I feel like there's like really important like lessons and like things that you kind of take from people. Like I feel like, and it sounds really cliche because I've heard people say this before, but I feel like every person is made up of other people that have been around them. Like you pick up things from other people and you just integrate it into your life, and then you are an imprint of someone else, but then you've done the same to someone else. So I feel like everyone's just passing on like their own memories and like relationships with other people. I feel like there's a special kind of relationship that people have and other people kind of integrate it into themselves.
Mm-hmm. Well, it shows the relationship between Theodore and Samantha, who is like this artificial intelligence, this OS. But it also shows the past relationship that Theodore had with his partner, Catherine, played by Rooney Mara. And we don't really see the relationship as it happens. It's not like it starts and they're in a relationship. No, he's going through the process of getting divorced. But I do think it portrays that relationship very well, in a sense that it shows you different like flashbacks and all the great times they had together. It's very warm and colourful, vibrant presentation. It really enhances the movie overall. You know, sci-fi doesn't have to be all like bleak and like technology is trying to kill us. This is a very interesting depiction of sci-fi, a very interesting sci-fi movie in the fact that it portrays new technology as something good for people. You know, it can be good for people. I think it does. You know, it has its ups and downs because it's portraying a relationship, and relationships have their ups and downs. But I think ultimately, it's just really good at portraying something that could happen, probably will happen in our lifetimes, probably going to get people going out with, artificial intelligences. But I like that it hones in on this relationship from the past as well, and we see how they got on together, and you understand what Theodore's going through, because when you separate from someone, it can be very hard, and you do think about the good times, the bad times. And I guess he doesn't really want to get divorced. He wants to stay married, but he's kind of living in this fantasy world because the relationship's just not there anymore. But I found that to be very, sad, but also quite reminiscent of just humanity as a whole.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like a lot of the movie kind of says about how technology, it does really enhance our lives, but it can't really like take away from the fact that we are humans and we have like proper relationships and emotions and stuff. Like maybe like we could have relationships with technology that would like improve us as like a person, but it doesn't completely replace that connection that we can have with people.
Yeah, it's just human desire though, isn't it? Because you want to actually be like felt and with another body, I suppose, whereas with technology it's kind of not like that. I mean, the closest I can think of to people doing this kind of thing is like people who people who like have relationships with people in like chat rooms and stuff, but they've never met them.
Yeah,
it's sort of like that kind of thing that I could get behind that, because people do this now, but it's just they've never met them. That's the difference.
Yeah. It's the age of the e-girl.
Yeah.
We're living in it. Did you guys ever be able to fall in love with a disembodied voice?
maybe.
I mean, I think it's possible. I mean, I feel like isn't the film also going for there's a bit more to life than just, I don't know, sorry, I've completely lost it.
Yeah.
Like the physical?
Yeah, I think there's like elements of, you can have these other relationships that don't have to be just because you've met someone. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you can form a physical, like,
have
a
a
connection.
romantic relationship with someone without it being completely physical.
Yeah. You can also
like
have romantic relationships with people without expecting it to last forever.
Yeah.
But I think it's quite prominent in the society that we're living. It's like if you're with someone, you're with them forever. It's quite a monogamous society in that way. But with this, you kind of understand that perhaps it's not going to last forever. I don't know if I could fall in love with a disembodied voice in quite the way that Theodore does in this movie, because it's quite, when you're in a relationship, you kind of want that physical element, I suppose.
Yeah, do you know what that
but
is?
it's not
kind
what
of
you're getting through this.
Yeah, like it kind of makes you think as well about like I guess the expiry of technologies like this. Like okay, so Samantha and Theodore, all well and good, right? But then don't you get things like system updates, and then like companies go bust, and then like these operating systems don't exist anymore, and then is that like essentially the death of a relationship? Like, or would you just go to another one because you could probably upgrade or something? Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's a bit of a weird thing, because obviously when it happens with people, it's a bit more of a permanent change, like, especially if someone like dies. It's kind of like not quite the same though if you have like a machine in a relationship.
You can also rationalize that, but there's a great scene in this movie where there's a point where Theodore cannot get hold of Samantha. He can't like hear her at all. She's like this voice, this disembodied voice that lives in his earpiece, and he can't get a hold of her. That's a terrifying scene, because then it's like, she's gone forever. And he has no way of comprehending that, because she's not physical. She's not, I don't want to say not real, but she's not tethered to a body. And when someone goes missing in real life, you could kind of rationalize that. But like, this is like literally, she doesn't exist anymore. It could be.
Yeah, it's like what happens then?
You just move on. You forget it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's also like kind of something you could tie to perhaps breakups. Is one day it's over and you got to go on with life.
Yeah, they always isn't there supposed to be like a statistic that says something like the first 2 weeks without when you stop talking to your like partner or someone that you're really close with, the first 2 weeks is like the worst, because you have that instinct to talk to them still, but you either can't or you won't, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or you will,
Especially
but
if
you
you're like-
shouldn't.
Yeah. That's the one.
Exactly. That's why Facebook is the devil. You
Yeah.
just do that.
I really, really loved the acting in the movie. I think Joaquin Phoenix delivers one of my favourite performances in any movie in this movie. It's easily my favourite performance of his, and I think like the character of Theodore is like one of my favourite film characters, if only because like so much of the movie I just like almost see a reflection of myself in him. Like I just relate to him in so many different ways.
Can you get a yellow shirt then?
No. I'm just gonna grow his mustache.
Yeah, he's great. He's fantastic. I think all the acting in this movie is really good. Everybody knows exactly what they're doing. They're very dedicated to the movie as a whole. You could tell. And Joaquin Phoenix, yeah, he's playing this guy who's quite introverted. I think he's quite inside himself, and I guess that's why he turns to like Samantha as like a relationship and as a partner. There's like a part where he's trying to like tell his ex that he's seeing an artificial intelligence, and that's like horrible because she basically like tears him down and says like, oh, yeah, of course you're dating an OS, like you never, it makes me sad that you can't handle real emotions. You always wanted to have a wife without the challenges of dealing with something real. I was like, wow, fucking hell. But I almost agreed with her. But the great thing about this movie is that it presents this relationship with between Theodore and Samantha, who's played by Scarlett Johansson, also really good performance here, even though she's just a voice, as something tangible, as something real, and something that has its own problem. They argue and they fight, and they have really good times together, and they do lots of stuff together. It's when you're in a relationship, it can feel like you're the only two people on Earth, and that's I think it does portray that really well.
Yeah, I think their acting is especially really, really great in like the scene where they first like have sex together.
Where fuck, yeah.
Yeah, it's not really like them having sex, but they're like basically saying what they want to do to each other. And it's honestly like one of my favourite sex scenes in any movie.
It might be the best sex scene ever.
It's like genuinely like really, really beautiful. It's really powerful, I think.
I felt really awkward.
It's kind of funny.
Did you?
Like, but it is just, I think it's just really sweet.
It is. No visuals. It's just their voices. It's just a black screen and their voices. And it was really well done. It's very well contrasted to like, wow, this is so powerful. And then you get to this scene where Samantha hires this woman who's basically like a prostitute who's acting as like a physical body for Samantha to like become. And like Theodore's clearly very uncomfortable with this because it's not her, it's like someone else. And that's a really good scene in terms of the way it balances different emotions. You get like the anxiety of it, you also get kind of the fear, but also it's quite funny. It's really funny as well. Especially when he's like her lip quivered and she like starts sobbing and like goes into the bathroom. She's like, I'm sorry, I just love you guys so much, I wanted to be a part of your relationship.
I think their sex scene also like perfectly contrasts like one of the opening scenes where like Theodore goes into an online chat room and like starts speaking to this like girl, and they're like talking to each other about what they want to do to each other, and she just like choked me with that dead cat.
What
that
the fuck
really
was that?
hilarious
What was that
scene.
even about?
Yeah,
It's great. I love it.
That girl is played by Kristen Wiig.
Really?
She's really good in it as well.
Oh, very good.
I love that.
It's hilarious. It lets you know, like, early doors what this movie is going to be. It doesn't take itself too seriously because I guess it's not really going for that. It's not like this is 100% serious because it's quite a strange concept. And all the stuff that happens, all the arguments they get into, it's like, this is not an argument that could tangibly exist in the world that we're living in. Like he has a go at her because she makes an exhaling noise. Like you don't need oxygen. Why are you exhaling? And she gets so mad at him. It's like, this isn't a conversation that people would be having, but this is a conversation that people would be having in this situation.
Yeah,
It's very interesting.
It does feel very natural still. I think a lot of the dialogue feels very, very real. The characters, I think, feel real. The relationships all feel like just like a real relationship, and I think that just kind of goes down to just how like incredible the writing I think is. Like, I don't think Spike Jonze had ever written the movie by himself, at least not like one that actually got made. And it's like ridiculous how well written the movie is, considering like he hadn't really done it before.
Yeah, like, is he okay? Does someone upset him?
Yeah, I think it's heavily inspired by his divorce from the director Sofia Coppola, who directed Lost in Translation.
Oh, God.
I think a lot of that film's inspired by their relationship.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I could tell. Like, you could almost do them as like companion pieces.
Yeah.
That's the one in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Also
Yeah,
Scarlett
okay.
Johansson.
Yeah, she's
Jesus.
in both. Although that film, I think, was made when they were still married, but it was like towards the end of their marriage.
Chris Pratt's here as well.
Yeah.
Who's
Mario
that?
himself is in this movie.
With his little pedo
Garfield.
stash.
Yeah, everyone's got a mustache, but he's very good in it.
Yeah, he is
He
good.
is.
You know, he's not in it much, but I like that there's always this kind of tension when Theodore reveals to people that he's dating an OS, but when he just says it to Chris Pratt's character, he's like, cool, and then he just goes on to something else. It's like, it doesn't
Yeah.
even matter.
Yeah, it's like it meant nothing to him. He's just like, cool. So anyway, when do you want to meet up? It's like a really great scene, I think. And I loved that picnic scene where they're all talking like they've like Chris Pratt's character and his girlfriend have gone on a date with Theodore and Samantha, and they're just sat there chatting about shit. And she's like, Samantha's talking about how she like feels really grateful that she's like not tied to a physical body. I think that's that really great conversation there.
It is, yeah. He comes out with some really good lines, actually, Chris Pratt. He's saying, like, he really, like, adores Theodore's writing. He's like, you are part man and part woman. That's a compliment.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it is. Why not?
I think Chris Pratt's actually like the perfect pick for that role, to be fair, because he is he is really funny when he is given the right material.
Oh, yeah. I don't hate him. I just don't think he's, like, a great action star. He's kind of put himself in now. Yeah. I love that scene where he's on the date with some woman, I forget her name.
Olivia Wilde.
Olivia Wilde. Yes, he's on the date with Olivia Wilde, played by Olivia Wilde, and like it kind of, they're having a really great time, and then afterwards it kind of shifts where she's like, well, you're not just gonna fuck me and not call me like the other guys, right? Uh-oh. That's a red flag. He was like, oh, fuck. You could see like it in his eyes. He's like, oh, fuck's sake. That's not what you say to someone, like after a date, surely. And then he's like, well, maybe we shouldn't see each other after this. And then she just like attacks him. He's like, you're a really creepy dude. He says, that's not true. I'm like, this poor dude. This is like, that was like a moment where I could tell this is something that he's been faced with before. People are like attacking his character just because of the way he is as a person. It's very sad.
Yeah, I felt bad for him. I was kind of like, oh, you weren't saying that 2 minutes ago when you were snogging his face off, but here we go.
Yeah.
It reminded me of like
really
those,
lovely.
like nice guys that are like, oh, I don't want your number anyway, you fat bitch. It reminds me of that.
Yeah.
I really love how the film looks visually. Like they shot it all in Shanghai.
Oh, okay.
And because it like has that very like dreamy kind of almost smoggy sort of look, but it does look very futuristic still. And I think it's like the perfect setting because it doesn't really look like it doesn't look like America, but at the same time it kind of
do you know what?
does.
I'm glad that you brought that up, right? Because obviously in the film there's like shots of him where he's like in the street and then you can see like buildings in the back, but you can still see the signs on them, and I was like, these are not American buildings, where are they?
Yeah, to be fair, there's a lot of signs and stuff where it's like clearly Chinese writing.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
And
It
I
doesn't
also
really make
like
a point of saying like where they are though. I like that haze that kind of permeates over the place because it's like
Yeah.
it could be anywhere, and like at the rate we're going, like this is probably what the world's going to look like. So as
Yeah, but-
technology advances, you get like more skyscrapers and everything, like more neon lights, but you also get this haze, this kind of smog that clouds the place as we pollute the world a bit more.
Yeah, it's like sad that that's like just actually how Shanghai looks. Like sad that there's a place that already looks like that.
I think it looks cool actually.
It does look cool, but it's also
It is killing people. actually.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
no, I
not
know, yeah, I know,
healthy.
I know what you're getting at. I do.
I also love the usage of colors throughout. Like, I think there's a lot of bits where the colors are like obviously very dampened, but then it's contrasted by moments where this like incredibly high contrasted like blues and reds and yellows, and it just looks really, really great. I think Spike Jonze does a fantastic job throughout of like using different colors to fit with different moods and different scenes, and like using strong colors during some of the happier scenes, and then when it gets like kind of sad or emotional, he like dampens them quite a lot so they look a lot less colorful. I think it's really, really great.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what drew me to the film in the first place. Was just how bright pink everything was.
Yeah, it's very warm looking movie. Which is a nice juxtaposition to the sci-fi we might be used to. It does feel a bit more cold and distant. But this is just about a relationship. So you do need that warmer feel to the movie to kind of ground you in the relationship that's being portrayed. Really good score as well. Really good music.
Yeah, I was literally
throughout.
about to say that.
What
Yeah.
we rating?
No.
Oh,
the
sorry.
score.
I said it was really good music.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I misheard.
The music's all done by Arcade Fire, and they do an incredible job with the soundtrack.
I bloody love Arcade Fire.
I think I really love Arcade Fire, but I think this score's like the best thing they've done.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Just saying a lot because Suburbs is one of my favourite albums. But yeah, they do a great job in this film. The
You got
Moon song is
Moon song?
really beautiful.
Oh, yeah, it is really good. Just ukulele and vocals. It does hits hard.
Yeah, there's they released a version on the soundtrack when the film came out where the Moon song's like a duet between I think it's Karen O from Yeah Yeah Yeahs and Ezra Koenig from Vampire Weekend, and that's a really good version. But I don't think it's as good as the Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson version. There's something about just the weight of their relationship throughout the movie, and I think like how neither of them are like the best singer in the world, and kind of how like raw and real it feels, that I think just fits the song really well.
Yeah. Especially as like Samantha, as an artificial intelligence, is writing a song, that it feels so, it has its mistakes in there, and it has its kind of, it's not perfect. I think that's kind of the way that technology is going as well. It is able to replicate us as people who are not perfect at all. And we do have our foibles, I suppose. Where it's able to compose this song. It's not a human being that's made it, but it does have those little inflections that I think ground it as to being something just intrinsically more human.
Yeah. Something interesting that I found when we were watching it this time that I wanted to bring up is like, previously when I've watched a film, it's like really, really struck me on an emotional level, and I've like left the film like feeling, I wouldn't say like depressed, but definitely left it feeling sad. But I found going into it after watching Dead Man Letters, which like just made me really, really miserable, this film kind of almost felt like this really wholesome, warm hug. And I've spoken to other people who completely agree that if you watch the movie when you're in a good mood, it just kills you. But if you watch it if you're in a really, like, really depressed, lonely mood, then it's like, it just really makes you feel like so much better. I think that's just like a really unique quality to the movie.
Oh, I love it because I get what you're saying. The thing is, I don't think I've ever watched it when I've been sad though. I just sort of like embraced it for the quote unquote what I was talking about earlier, like the human experience or whatever. I don't know. It was really wholesome. It kind of reminded me of the sort of feeling I got about Time. That film.
Yeah.
It's sort of that that like, oh, I don't know, it just left me feeling like kind of like warm inside, but also I'm sad, but I'm happy, but I'm a person, and
Yeah, that's
I'm
how I
ready.
feel about Eternal Sunshine as well, which I know you don't feel that at all, Darcy.
Well, so basically, I don't know if I at the emotional level to handle it, because I'm pretty sure I watched it once and it killed my soul. I don't know if I can do it again.
Yeah, I was like that when I was like 13, 14 when I watched it, but
I might watch it again.
now,
I don't know if I can handle it though.
I felt very happy when I left the movie. I thought, yeah, it does feel like a happy ending to me. He's happy
Yeah.
at the end, I think. And it's, just after this essential breakup of his relationship with Samantha, as she goes off into the ether to do whatever, become a higher consciousness. She says like, if one day you get there, come and find me. I was like, that's really nice, because it shows. I do think that in her way, as much as she could, she did love him and he did love her. But she also was in love with 641 other people, and that was an ouch moment. But it was also like, yeah, that's just like the way she's programmed as well. So it's like, it's not something that she can help, and it's also something that's ever evolving within her programming. I just found it to be very ever so slightly melancholy, but more so I found it to be quite endearing and wholesome at the end, and I found it to be quite hopeful.
Yeah, like in the last scene, you kind of like see how much this relationship has done for him, how it's helped him kind of come to terms with his ex, and he's kind of like really accepted why it was necessary for them to end, and he's kind of come to terms with that, and is no longer sad about it. He's kind of more happy that now he got to have that experience, and kind of Samantha was there to kind of get him through that. That's something that I personally found very relatable through my past relationships, and that's one of the reasons I think it hits with me.
I mean, I'm very glad that Max said the word hopeful, because that is literally what was going through my mind. I was like, what is this word for when you're ready? You know what I mean? Like you've just accepted it, and you can carry on with high hopes. And I was just like, what is this word I'm looking for?
Yeah, obviously, like the film ends with like a shot of him and Amy Adams' character sat on this rooftop, and like she puts her head on his shoulder, and that kind of almost says, well, maybe he's going to move on to her, and things will be all right after all.
I didn't get that. I just got like the whole friend aspect of it.
Yeah, it could be that too.
Just confiding in a friend. That's what I kind of got from it.
Yeah, I feel like it's very like open-ended. Like it could be like the start of them like finding each other. It could literally just be them being there for each other because they're close friends,
and they're both sort of in the same position. It's like you're not on your own.
Yeah.
I want to sit on a rooftop with Amy Adams.
Same.
Contemplate life. Sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
She was really good as well. I think Amy Adams is like just one of the great actors of our time. She's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't love her, but I do love her when she's in the right roles and working with the right directors. Like, I think of films like this and Arrival, where she's incredible in it, but like I feel like things like the DC movies have kind of just soured her in my eyes.
Well, I mean, they soured everyone in my eyes.
That's what I was just thinking. I was like, no one's safe. Don't worry.
I almost soured Joaquin Phoenix, but no, he's just too good for it.
Yeah. Well, he was great in Joker, so.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that is true, actually. But you can't say that, because then you have to admit that the incels were right.
Joker's a good movie.
Joker's a good movie, yeah. Joker's alright. It's got like that incel culture that goes with it. I don't know.
Sorry, I know. I just thought I'd bring it up quickly.
I mean, that's a shame, but
I know, it sucks.
I do think Joaquin Phoenix is one of the best actors working today.
He is.
Like, him in this, The Master, and Joker are like three of my favourite performances like in any film. Like, he's just a really, really terrific, talented guy.
Yeah, I really love him. He can melt into any role.
Yeah,
Never
I
really
was
see him
thinking that. He's
You see the
like the
performance.
complete opposite of Robert Downey Jr. or
He's
Tom Hanks, where
adaptable,
he can
yeah.
do anything.
Yeah, he's a real chameleon. It's great.
We
Like when he
good?
says, what is it? Like he's talking to Chris Pratt, and he like leaves, and he turns around and he says, "They're just other people's letters." After like Chris Pratt's like praised him for like how great his writing is, and like it brought him to tears. It's like it's just other people's letters. So yeah, they're not his experiences. It's like I guess he doesn't really feel like he doesn't really feel like a writer himself in that sense, which I found to be quite interesting and perhaps quite relatable. As someone who likes to
Yeah.
write a lot, I think, yeah, that's just I found that to be quite relatable, and just that one line, it kind of hit a chord with me. They're just other people's letters. He's not actually lived those experiences that he's writing about. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Are we good to get on to ratings? Or have we
Sure.
got anything else to add? What should we rate this
I
out?
like. Oh, dead cats.
Cats.
Dead cats.
Okay.
Are you okay? I feel like you've just like misheard everything Max has said tonight.
I'm not gonna lie, I could barely hear him at the best of times, but I just roll with it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, this is one of my favourite movies ever made. It's so beautiful. It's hilarious. It feels very, very personal, and you can tell it's written by someone who's kind of lived a lot of these experiences. And I think it's one of the best romance movies ever made. One that I would highly recommend to anyone who feels lonely, especially like coming out of a breakup, because I feel like it could definitely help people through it. Really beautiful movie. I'm going to give it 10 dead cats out of 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of my favourite movies, I think. Probably one of the best movies, but one of the best sci-fi movies, absolutely. Love Joaquin Phoenix. Love Scarlett Johansson. Even Chris Pratt was pretty good. Rooney Mara was brilliant. Love her. We don't really get like so much from her, but she really does pull out of the bag. She's really good. There was one line I got written down. It says, if you could find a way to let go of that fear you carry around, you wouldn't feel so alone anymore. And I think that's a good lesson for everyone. And it's also quite in line with, I guess, the themes of the movie. It was trying to bring a bit more of comfort to people. It's trying to tell people that they're not alone in this. But also something I think like the best writers can do is like tell you something about yourself, or like something you can truly relate to. This is really that kind of movie for me. And I will also give it 10 dead cats out of 10.
I thought he was going to say dead kittens. I was like, bloody hell. I mean, dead cats ain't much better. I was kind of mulling it over whilst you two were talking about your ratings, and I kind of thought this kind of goes up there with like Forrest Gump for me, and the sort of the experience that I had with it, where I've watched it many times, and I still feel the same every single time I watched it. Like that sort of, I'm kind of sad, but I'm kind of happy. I feel like a person. I love the human experience, and I'm ready to go do it all over again. It's kind of like that thing. I mean, if you're ready for a wholesome hug, I think this film is it, to be honest. I mean, if you feel like shit, this film is also it. If you're happy, this film is also it. So, 10 dead cats out of 10.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And another one for the books.
Another one for the books.
And yet again, I stare at the SMM wheel.
Yeah, I've had the wheel up on like the side of my screen the whole time, and I just like keep just staring at it as it
Same.
spins.
I've literally been looking at the click to spin over
We
and
got
over again.
Another marathon to do for the next episode 57. We're going to spin the wheel, see what it gives us.
Right, I'm nervous.
Better be something good. We can't do something long because we don't have
Oh,
enough time,
God.
unfortunately, this week.
What do we think about this then?
The Muppets.
What's that?
The Muppets, like the Muppets.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what movies?
I don't
Oh.
know. We could pick a Muppets movie each, I guess.
Oh, for God's
What the
sake.
fucking Muppets movies are there?
I can only think of
more
two.
than you'd expect there to be.
Oh, actually, no, I could think of at least 4.
Okay.
Should I
fine, yeah.
look up what Muppets movies we can pick from?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I can't think this is actually something that we...
I probably could, like,
Holy Jesus.
if you put a gun to my head, I probably could name them all, but I don't feel confident enough to do that.
Oh, there's a Muppets 3 coming out.
Yeah. So you got the Muppet movie, The Great Muppet Caper, The Muppets Take Manhattan, Muppet Christmas Carol, Muppet Treasure Island, Muppets from Space, The Muppets, and Muppets Most Wanted. That doesn't count any like TV or straight to DVD films that they did, because most of them suck, especially the Muppets Wizard of Oz.
What was that one that we watched? The Haunted House one? That was terrible.
Oh yeah, the Haunted Mansion one from this year.
Bloody hell. Sucked.
Okay, cool. We'll do the Muppets then.
Yes,
great.
I already know
Yeah.
what I'm picking.
Episode
Yeah.
57, Muppets movies. We'll see. Great. Until then, I don't know if you want to start on the show yet, but it's going to be season 1 of Oz on episode 65. That's a few episodes away.
I actually completely forgot what the show was, so I was like, wait,
Yeah.
what are we doing?
We looked up the other
Yeah, we've got Oz.
Yeah, I know. I
Going on.
just completely forgot what the show that came up was.
It was just gone.
I did too, actually. So that's that. We got our social media accounts: YouTube, The Sunday Movie Marathon; Twitter @Sunday Movie Pod; Facebook @Sunday Movie Marathon; and Letterboxd @Sunday MM. Thank you for listening. Come to the end of another episode, and my voice is getting tired now, so I'm glad we're at the end because I need to rest, I think. Any final words, guys? Great. See you next time.
I'll crump with you, sweetie pie.
Last night, let me tell you how I made a